you'll possible, like as soon as possible, even sooner than that, because we want to get this thing wrapped up.
Oh, is my mic working now?
Let's see. Unless you uploaded it within the last 2 seconds, it is not. So far, the three that I have are Quentin, Chelsea, and Tanisha.
The midterm?
Midterm common annotation.
I think I need some help then, because I turned mine in on Tuesday.
I've turned mine in
Yeah.
as well.
You
What
have it
folder
on there
did you?
twice.
What folder did you put it in?
Can you
You
hear
you
me?
do have it on there twice, but I only put it, I think I put it in the
Okay,
first
yeah, I
one.
do have it on here twice. Okay, now we talking. Oh yeah. Okay. So there's a few more in here.
Do
So
you have
Isaiah
that?
have yours, Paul got yours, Tanisha,
Did
John,
you get mine?
Trevor got yours, Zach,
Why are you trying to give us a heart attack first day back?
because that's my job, man. No, it wasn't you guys having a heart attack. It was me, because I was like, man, we need to get the ball rolling on this thing. But now, all right, forget everything I just said. But again, if you are not one of the names I called a few minutes ago, because there's still, a good amount of them missing. If you have not gotten that in, make sure you get it in ASAP, because in about 2 minutes, we're going to start talking about the common essay. All right. And I decided not to post it over the break. You guys already had your midterm and the final draft of the instructor chosen essay. So that was enough for the break. All right. Ended up working all like every day over the break too, man. Like my friends were giving me a hard time about it. But that's what it is. So I'm about 75% caught up. All right. And you can also check off the midterm now on your portfolio checklist that we went over before the break. And you can check off all the drafts of your instructor chosen essay. And then if we go on to our D2L page. Okay.
Quick question for you.
Say what?
I just have a quick question for you. I don't know if
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
hear me. I got a new mic, so I don't know if it's
Nice.
working.
You sound crispy
Okay.
clear.
So for the portfolio, so I know we're turning all this stuff in and checking it off, but how does this work for online when we turn that in, or
It's just going to be a virtual portfolio. So really, when you upload something to the assignment folder,
Mhm.
I can take care of it from there, because I'll be just compiling all your work for you.
Oh, so you're taking care of the whole putting
Yeah.
it together. We just have to make sure we get the things checked off on the list.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Like
cool.
in a face-to-face, if we were back face-to-face, you would actually be putting a physical portfolio together. But
Right.
since we're all virtual, it'll be just a virtual portfolio. So now, once you just get the assignments in, and then I will take care of the rest as far as getting it reviewed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But we're about to enter the last leg of this semester, if you will. All right. Which is our common essay. And I think last week, not last week, the week before last, I explained the significance of this essay, meaning this essay can sort of be your life jacket for this class. If the exit essay doesn't go that well, it's okay, because you'll still have this essay. But again, this essay is kind of it hinges on like your knowledge of the book. So if you've been keeping up with the reading, this essay should be fine. I'm going to give you some guidance for like structuring this essay. But yeah, it's really going to be dependent on, you keeping up, or you having kept up with the book. And if you've been taking notes, that'll really help you with this essay as well. We're all going to write about the same thing for this essay. And let me actually just go into, actually let me switch over 1 second before I go into screen share. Yeah, had some semi-decent weather over the break.
I missed like the first 2 minutes of this. Did you say anything about like our essays? Are they still being graded and like
Yes,
midterm and stuff like that? Okay.
yes to everything you just said.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, but no, they're still in the process of being graded. All right, I have a bunch of some reading questions to get uploaded as well. Okay, the good news is that set of reading questions that you just submitted was the last ones. Duplicate those two. Okay, so let's go on the week 9 module. Is this really week 9?
I thought we were on week 8.
Oh, okay, let me make this oh, you know what? You're right. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm still on break in my brain. Something up. All right. I call myself anticipating this day. Oh yeah, it is the 8th. Okay. I want it to be the 15th already. Here we go. Okay. So first thing, let's look at, there's only there's only 3 things in this module. All right. One, this is just, a quick just a quick tutorial about, for like looking up stuff, for lack of better terms. Meaning, if you come across something you don't understand, and that could be a dictionary word, or a word you need to define, or it could be something like apartheid, where it's like a system. All right, or it could be some other concept, or it could be just something you don't know. Okay, this getting prior knowledge in a hurry, it just quickly goes over how to fill in those gaps, really how to expand your knowledge base. And it's what I was going for with this module, or these 2 modules, this apartheid module and this Trevor Noah module. All right, but for the most part, this is just really about how to look up stuff. Okay, look it up. All right. And I've learned that I'm kind of dating myself here, but I've learned, like, depending on how old you are, look it up means different things. Like for me, my mom used to say it meant like get a dictionary or get an encyclopedia. Right? But for people now, it's Google, and Google's our friend. Okay. So I'm just gonna click on Common Essay Draft 1 and get it open as a Word. Okay, and you can do the same, or you can look on with me. And here it is. Okay. First draft, due 1 week from today. And again, just like with our instructor chosen essay, when it's all said and done, you need 4 pages, but your first draft, give me at least 2. Okay, at least 2. If you want to go beyond 2, you can. But if you have 2 pages and maybe some ideas about where you want to go from where you ended up, that's fine. All right, but at least 2 pages for your first rough draft. Okay, so, and that again, that's due the 15th. All right. A reviewer from the Washington Post called Born a Crime: Stories from a South African Childhood. Quote, a love letter to Noah's mother. A reader of the book cannot deny the love the author has for her son. All right, here's your job right here. In a well-developed essay. Okay, this is something new. And again, this, like I said, this is where your annotation will pay off. In a well-developed essay citing specific examples from the book, and I will show you how to do this momentarily. discuss some of the ways in which Noah's mother shows her love for her son. Okay. And from reading the text, Patricia undoubtedly loves Trevor. That's pretty apparent. But she often shows it in some unorthodox ways, which I thought was good. You might even want to say, tough love. Tough love certainly factored into into our book. So now that we know this and know what we're going to be writing about, one of the first steps that you can take, to prepare for this, go back through your book. Okay, go back through your book, and you can even start, at page 1. And you're not rereading the book. You're really just looking for examples of, the way Patricia, Trevor's mother, showed her love to him. Okay, right? Gave him those hidings. All right, let him face consequences. And just speaking off the top of my head, if I were putting an essay together like this, certainly I remember how she kind of protected him as being a biracial child, which was against the law at the time of his birth. So all the things that she did to protect him. All right. And I like even when the book opened, right, she threw him out of a car. And that now from on the surface we may think like that's not good parenting, that's kind of abusive, but when we learn the context of it, like get hurt a little bit or get hurt a lot, it seemed like the best choice at the time. But also even with Trevor's name, right, she gave him a name that she gave him that name because she didn't want him to be stereotyped because of his name. Or I can't remember the exact quote from the book, but it's something to the effect of Patricia or Trevor's mother kind of showed him what was possible, meaning like there was a world outside of these communities that they grew up in. So start brainstorming. Okay, start brainstorming. And one of the characteristics of a brainstorm is you're coming up with ideas knowing that you probably won't use them all. So when you're in the brainstorming process, you're not judging your ideas at that time, right? You're just coming up with ideas, and then once you accumulate some ideas, excuse me, you go through them and decide what you want to develop in a paper versus what you want to say, maybe I use this idea, maybe I won't. I'll just keep this idea on the back burner. All right. But I think before you begin, a good way to start this paper is by pulling out those examples. All right. Pulling out those specific examples. Like I was just saying, the naming, right? The hidings or the whippings, as we would say in the US. All right, or the whoopings, as we would say. Okay. Even the way, some of the other ways, that Patricia disciplined Trevor, keeping him in church. Trevor didn't really stick with it, but he did say that he gained, some positives from being, that I guess the religious upbringing. So think about it. Discuss some of the ways in which which Noah's mother shows love for her son. The emphasis is on some. You don't have to retell the entire book. In fact, that is one way this essay will go bad for you, is if you retell the book or if you try to put every little example in your essay, because if you do that, you aren't gonna give yourself the space to really flesh out your examples. So instead of putting everything in the book in your paper or trying to cram everything in the book into your paper, think of a few specific examples to really flesh out. And I'll show you an example in a minute. All right, here's our guideline for this thing. All right, minimum of 4 full pages when it's all said and done. Again, first draft, 2 pages is fine. If you want to go beyond that 2, be my guest, but let's make 2 our baseline for this first draft. Also, at this stage in the semester, right? Where we already have a paper under our belt, where we've done multiple drafts, formatting should no longer be an issue, right? Like MLA formatting, name, instructor name, class, and date, to the left, last name, page number to the right, and make sure you're double spacing and using a proper margin. Okay, let's stick with Times New Roman for this essay. Don't use Calibri or any of these other fonts. I like Arial personally, but I don't really use it when I have to draft something, for a class. I use it all the time. Okay, but no decorative or widely spaced fonts. No wingdings. I wonder if I don't even know if that's still a font. Oh yeah, wingdings. Okay, that's a real thing. Okay. 1-inch margins and then MLA formatting for titles. Oh, 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 let me back up a little bit. When you write the title of a book, italics. You don't need quotation marks for the title of the book. So, if you're typing Born a Crime, the first time you type it in your paper, you should type the whole title, Born a Crime: Stories from a South African Childhood. But after that, you can just use Born a Crime. But whenever you put the title of a book, it's italicized. All right. And to italicize something, you can hover over it and just click this little slanted eye. Or, if you have your shortcuts set up on your keyboard, or if you're using Microsoft Word, you can just highlight your text and then hit Control I, hold down Control and then hit I. All right. It's the same thing if you want to bold. You don't need to bold anything in your papers, but if you ever want to bold something, just Control B will bold something. But no bold print anywhere in your essay. Okay. No bold print anywhere in your essay. All right. Now, start with the intro that grabs the reader's attention. Contains a clear thesis statement. All right. We're going to talk about thesis statements very soon, like in the next 5 minutes or so. All right. And I will give you some insider info with these essays. As reviewers, all right, meaning people who will be looking at your essays, most of us, and if not all of us, who review these things, first thing we look at is the thesis statement. That usually gives us an idea of whether that's going to be an organized essay. If the thesis statement is there, usually the essay will follow suit in an organized way. But if the thesis statement is not there, or if the thesis statement is unclear, that usually is a red flag for us. And that's not to say it's an automatic, failure. But the thesis statement is, probably the most important statement in the essay. And my advice to students is always to, after you're brainstorming and you have a good idea, say, okay, here's the examples I want to use. After you do that, or even before you do that sometimes, get your thesis statement together. And another bit of advice, you may even want to come up with multiple thesis statements. And when you start putting your essay together, pick the one that you want to use. Okay. Or, and this used to happen to me sometimes as a student, where I would come up with multiple thesis statements, but when I actually started writing the essay, usually my thesis statement would be some combination of, the ones that I came up with before. All right. But try to get that knocked out early. And I will give you some examples, and you can use, I won't say you can use the examples that I'm giving you, but you can certainly use the idea, the ideas in the examples, just make them your own. Okay. So clear thesis statement, logical organization, intro, body of your essay, and then your conclusion. All right. Makes use of appropriate transition words. We're back to paragraph coherence. Okay. Includes appropriate MLA formatting. For quotes, we're going to talk about quotes in a little bit today too, and your works cited page. All right, I will give you I'll give you 2 ways to do a works cited page. I'll give you the easiest way, which is use one of these automatic works cited generators, which is like I learned how to do it the old school way like a million years ago when I was a student, but I just use citation generators all the time. I don't have any shame, and I don't have issues with my students using them either. All right. Oh yeah. Okay. This is a little bit different from our instructor chosen essay in that we're not telling a story about ourselves. So this essay is going to have a bit more of a traditional style of paragraph, meaning we're going to start with the topic sentence and then flesh out that topic sentence in the rest of the paragraph. All right. So, if you want to use a formula for your paragraphs, okay, every paragraph should be, or every body paragraph, topic sentence, and then relevant supporting details. All right. Topic sentence, relevant supporting details. Now I'll show you how that looks in a little bit here. Okay. Or another strategy I will give you on Wednesday, we can talk about it in greater detail, is the pie method of building a paragraph. And pie is just PIE. All right, I have a handout on this I'll give to you as well. Pie is point, information, explanation. Okay. The point is the topic sentence, which is the main idea, right? Information, some kind of an example of the idea that you have in your topic sentence. And then explanation is your own words, like following up, that example. And again, I will show you a pie paragraph. Okay. Remains on topic from beginning to end. In your essay, make sure you're responding to this. Okay. Don't go off topic. Don't start talking about unrelated things that may be interesting. Okay. Ideas that may be interesting. All right. But remember that you're being asked to do a specific job with this essay. All right. So again, there's just not the time or the space to discuss anything except this in an essay. Also, this essay, don't include like any personal any personal information about this. Like, don't say, well, I grew up, with tough love, and it benefited me in this and that way. That's great, right? But again, we have one job for this essay, and it's to discuss some of the ways in which Trevor's mother shows her love for her son, not how our mothers showed us love, not how we were raised by a village, like Trevor, or whatever personal connection we make with this book. Again, it's great, that you're engaging the text on that level, but that that doesn't have a place in this essay. All right. So again, if you feel yourself going off topic, okay, refer back to this, right? And ask yourself, am I doing the job, that was asked of me? Okay. And then, we'll get to this when we on draft 2 has been edited to address sentence level issues. Okay. And then if we want another bullet point, again, this is more your final draft, but make sure you just clean up any issues you have, any proofreading issues. You can ignore this. This is just where the it's just I have to give credit to where the picture came from, right? So we don't violate any copyright laws. Okay. So here's the assignment. Okay. Now, all right, let's go back into week 8, and you all have this document, common essay strategies, and I'm just going to download this.
Can I ask a quick question about the proofreading stuff?
Absolutely.
So like and I don't know if it's like an issue or if it's just something you caught like the second time, but like on our drafts, like when you make like your comments and stuff like that, like for example, you didn't make a comment about something on the first draft when you graded me, but you made it on the second one. Is that,
Right.
is it because multiple people are grading it, or it's just because it's something you caught the second time?
No, I was just looking for different issues in the second draft.
Oh, that's what I meant. Like, in the second draft, or is that what you mean? Like, you just found additional issues after? Because what I mean is, I didn't change it from my original draft, but still on my second draft, you made a comment about it, if that makes sense.
Right. The first draft, I was more or less looking at ideas, so I wasn't looking at much of the technical aspects of it. But on the second draft, I focused a little bit more, if that makes any sense.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that.
No, that's cool. And I will do the same thing on your common essay. Where the first draft, I can tell you, I will definitely be looking at your thesis statements, and then just more or less your like the content of it, and then I will get more into the mechanics of it when I look at your second draft.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay. So yeah, first draft, get your ideas out. Okay, get that thesis statement together. Okay, and then start putting the body together. Okay. So let's look at this 1060 common essay strategies. Born a crime, updated with thesis statements, enhanced. Okay. Now, this handout. I'll put this thing together to offer you some guidance. All right. Do your paragraphs have to look exactly like these paragraphs? Of course not. But should they have the same features as these paragraphs? Yes. Okay. And when I say the same features, I just mean the characteristics. So your paragraph should be doing the same jobs as these paragraphs, but how you do the job is going to be up to you. All right. So first thing, introduction. And when I say your paragraph should be performing these same functions, meaning your introduction should have these elements. Provide a hook. Okay, some interesting statement, some kind of maybe it's a statistic, right? Maybe it's a quote, from either our textbook or not our textbook, from Born a Crime, or some other relevant quote. That's up to you. This one, it just begins with a relatable statement. All right. Then you want to introduce the subject of your paper. All right, which is mother's love. And for your intro, you don't have to get too specific as far as discussing the book. In fact, you don't want to go too heavily into the book in your intro. Okay. Intro is just what it sounds like. You're introducing, right? You're introducing this material that you're going to be discussing. All right. So you can give a little background. Like if you let me check the back of the book. Oh yeah. So our book, The Compelling, Inspiring, Comically Sublime Story of One Man's Coming of Age. So our book on the back gives like a 1 to 2 sentence summary. That's all you're gonna need in your intro. Just some background or some context. You definitely don't have to discuss every little detail. Like if somebody asked you, what's Born a Crime about in like 1 or 2 sentences, that's what you would put in your intro. Okay, what's this book about? All right. So this one, the third thing you need in your intro, somewhere in your intro, preferably early on, you have to mention the title and author of the text. Okay. That should be somewhere in your introduction. And really, it kind of goes hand in hand with what I was just saying about like briefly summarizing. You could give the title and author and summarize in like 1 to 2 sentences, three max. All right. And then finally, at the end of your intro, present your thesis statement. Okay. And you will find traditionally your thesis statement comes at the end of your intro because your introduction, it builds up to your thesis statement. Okay. And then here's how your paper will look. All right. Let's imagine this was the top and it doesn't have all this other stuff. But again, just your heading, name, instructor name, class, and date. Okay. This paper's from a long time ago. All right, and then your title. You can call the rough draft. It's fine. Okay. Now here's our attention grabber. Sort of. Okay. And you don't have to like pull out all the stops and rack your brain for the perfect thing to say. But this again, just a relatable statement. right? It can be said that a mother's love is one of the most powerful forces in the world. Okay. Hopefully the reader's thinking like, well, that's true. Or maybe they're thinking, well, that's not really true. But either way, they're thinking, and you have them hooked. That love can come in various forms, but most mothers share the drive to keep their children safe. Okay, most mothers. Okay. When I say most mothers, that's called using a qualifier. Because if we were to say all mothers, everybody, it's like the saying like everybody likes pizza. Okay. We can say most people like pizza, but everybody doesn't like pizza. And that's just a typical thing in writing. Try to avoid absolutes. Like when you say everybody does something, right? Or all people do this, or all mothers, or all this, or all that. You can say most mothers or many mothers, but not. Okay. Assuring a child's safety is a challenge for any parent, but for mothers raising children in oppressive societies, that challenge is intensified. Okay. Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood, title and author. Okay, right here. All right. You don't have to underline, I'm just underlining it here for effect. Okay. There we go. Details the complex relationship between Trevor and his mother as she struggles to raise him in a society deeply divided by race and class. Bam. You don't need to go into much more detail than that in your intro. Okay. Because I've seen some introductions where like it's everything in the book. All right. Or a student tries to jam like everything in the book into the intro. Okay, you aren't going to be able to fit everything in the book into your essay, and that's not even your job. So don't try to do that with the intro. Again, just keep it related to the main idea. How did his mother show his love for him? Okay. And again, now here's some background just to contextualize. And when I say contextualize, it means just like fill in the blank to help my reader understand this discussion we're about to have. Born to a Xhosa mother and a Swiss father, Noah was, quote, born a crime as interracial unions were outlawed in apartheid South Africa. Okay, now building up to the thesis statement. Noah would experience the harsh realities of being poor, colored, that was the apartheid term for biracial, and estranged from the harsh realities of being poor, colored, and estranged from being being estranged from his father. But his mother, Patricia, was always there to provide support and love. Okay, now let me just stop right here because instead of saying, his mother, his mother, his mother, his mother, all throughout my essay, his mother, Patricia, now I can alternate between saying his mother and calling her Patricia. Okay, so you should do this with every person that you mention, from our text or really any text. Introduce them. Like if you're talking about, Bongani, right? Trevor Noah's friend, Bongani. Okay. So that way it's like you're introducing these people to your audience because we have to assume that they have not read this book. So if you just start saying Patricia, your reader's going to be like, who's that? Or if you start saying Robert, your reader's going to say, who's that? Fufi, whatever. Okay. Who's that? All right. Now, but his mother was always there to provide support and love. Here we go. Here's our thesis statement. Okay. This is what your paper or this paper is going to be about. Okay. And in your essay, if you ever start wandering, or if you ever start drifting, or if you're wondering whether an example that you're using will actually apply, to the point you're making, go back to your thesis statement. Okay. And ask yourself, what's the connection? Your reader's going to be asking that. Definitely the reviewers of your essays are going to be asking that. What does this have to do with your main idea? So it's like, it's like math, when they say, show your work or check your work. The way you check your work in writing an essay is, check each body paragraph against your thesis statement. Right? Is this related to my main idea? Patricia often used tough love to discipline Trevor, but her love helped him thrive in a hostile environment, keep him safe in a hostile environment. However you want to choose, however you want to word it, that's up to you. So the job of your thesis statement, it presents your essay's main idea, meaning as a reader, I'm thinking like, okay, I know what this essay is about, right? I know what this essay is about. And in my my other classes, my 1510 and my 1520 classes, when I'm meeting with students about their papers, the first question I ask them, even after I've read the paper, the first question I ask them, what's your paper about? The answer to that question is the thesis statement. Meaning they can just read, you should be able to read off your thesis statement and your reader will know exactly what your paper is going to be about. Okay. So again, try to make your thesis statement as clear as you can. Okay. We know this paper is primarily going to be about tough love. Okay. The ways, Patricia showed Trevor tough love, right? So the one of the jobs of your thesis statement is to present your essay's main idea. The other job of the thesis statement is to keep you as a writer organized. Again, just like I said, now that you have your main idea, now you can start picking out examples from your text if you haven't done that already. But now you also have like an idea that you need to stick to throughout your paper. Okay. There's a lot of other things that happen in the book. Okay. A lot of other adventures, Trevor got into. There was, classism, racism, colorism, all right, and any other ism, you want to think about. But again, all that stuff is great, all that stuff is interesting, and all that stuff is important to talk about. But again, think about your job for this paper. Okay. Think about your job for this paper and think about what you're being asked to do. All right. So thesis statements, present your main idea and then keep you organized. And if you look at the notes on the side, I just tried to note what each feature of this paragraph is. Okay. Got our attention grabber. Mention the title and author with a brief synopsis. And then, the paper is about a mother's love. So maybe a little bit about, Patricia's love. And then wrap it up, tie it all together with your thesis statement. Okay. And then here are some additional examples. I like that color. Here are some additional examples of thesis statements. Again, like I said before, you're free to use these ideas. All right. Or you can come up with one of your own, of course. But I don't want that color. You're free to use these ideas. Just, make them your own. Okay, make them your own. Trevor's mother's parenting may seem unorthodox, but she always showed Trevor that he was loved. Okay, so this will be maybe about some of Patricia's unorthodox parenting styles, throwing him out of the car, writing letters. Okay, letting Trevor face up to consequences of his actions. Not all she loved him, but she didn't always bail him out, when he got into something. Okay. Trevor's mother's love helped him navigate poverty as a child. Okay. Teachers need to proofread too. Guided him through a racist society, apartheid, and showed him that anything is possible. Now, this thesis statement has what's called a plan of development. In a plan of development, it just simply notes your ideas that you're going to discuss in the paper in the order that you're going to discuss them. So first, you're going to show how Patricia helped Trevor navigate poverty as a child, going to show how her love guided him through a racist society. And I think most importantly, showed him that anything was possible, meaning you don't have to be what they tell you you're going to be. Okay, because growing up, Black in South Africa and growing up, quote unquote, colored or biracial, he was very limited as far as like the possibilities. But Patricia was like, no, you can do anything. Okay, so this is your paper, right? if you want to use a plan of development in your thesis statement. That's totally up to you. This one's short and sweet. Patricia's love prepared Trevor to survive in the harsh world. It certainly did. Nothing wrong with that one. Okay, don't think your thesis statement has to be some complex statement. Okay, her love showed him how to prepared him to survive in the harsh world. Okay, although living in racism and poverty was a challenge, Trevor Noah's mother used tough love to teach him some valuable life lessons. Okay. The commonality between these thesis statements is, they focus on, Patricia's love and Patricia showing love, for young Trevor and older Trevor. Okay. And again, use these ideas. All right. So once you get your idea together for your thesis statement, okay. Now, what are some examples of unorthodox parenting or tough love or, love that showed him that anything was possible? Okay. And the body paragraphs, this is where you discuss. This is where you flesh out your thesis statement. Okay. And I will introduce, excuse me, a pie paragraph today, but Wednesday we'll have another short meeting and we'll talk about it more. Okay. But just like your introduction should have these features, the body of your essay should have these features, or your body paragraphs. They should start with topic sentences. That is another facet of organization that's critical. Okay. And I get students in 1510, which is your next class, composition 1, and 1520, which is your next class after that, composition 2. But I still, do a lot of coaching about topic sentences, okay, and organization. But I find that students who have taken literacy, the class you're in now, just tend to have a better understanding, especially when you take 1510 like right after this class while all this stuff is still fresh. Okay. Topic sentence and then supporting details that develop the idea in your topic sentence. So here's what the paragraph is about, meaning you're telling your audience what the paragraph is about. Supporting details show how this idea is true. Okay. And then the pie method is just point, information, explanation. Okay. Trevor's mother, Patricia, or now that we've introduced who Patricia is in our intro, we can just say Trevor's mother often used tough love to protect him or Trevor. Born a Crime, again, titles in italics, opens with Trevor and his mother waiting for a minibus, right? So now, I just said, or I may have said earlier, or even when I first talked about this thing, don't turn your paper into a summary, but you're going to have to do some summarizing. Why? Because you're going to be describing events that happened in the book. Now, again, you're not describing or you're not summarizing for the sake of summarizing. This, you're making a point. Okay. Born in Crime opens with Trevor and his mother waiting for a minibus. There was no public transportation for blacks at the time, so they often had to rely on an off-the-book system of busing that could sometimes be dangerous. Okay, so you need to give some background as context. So when you're writing about these examples, you're going to ask yourself, what does my reader need to know? Meaning, what do they need to know to understand this example that I'm about to drop in there? Okay. This particular time, Trevor and his mother finally get picked up, but Patricia senses that something isn't right. As they rode in the back of the car feeling uneasy, Patricia says, Trevor, when he slows down at the next intersection, I'm going to open the door and we're going to jump. Okay. Yeah. Slows down. We getting on out of here. When Trevor hesitates, his mother throws him and his younger brother, Andrew, out of the car while it is still moving. Okay? Tough love. It may seem strange to read about a mother throwing her children from a moving car, but it was the only way to keep them safe. All right? So now, let me finish the paragraph first. All right, Trevor notes. Here's a, you don't have to have like multiple quotes in a paragraph. I just put this one in here for really for effect. And it's showing why, just getting in this minibus was dangerous. Trevor notes, quote, death was never far away from anybody back then. The crime of being a Zosa woman with a mixed child had endangered all of their lives. So Patricia risked giving her children a few bumps and bruises to protect their lives or to keep them safe. We're just saying. This is why we do multiple drafts. All right. So if we go back over this paragraph, right? First thing we have is the topic sentence. This is what this paragraph is going to be about. Trevor's mother often used tough love to protect him. Okay. So this would be the point if we're using the pie method. Okay. Here's our information. Information, something specific from the text. Okay. Something specific from the text. And then here's our explanation. Here's your follow-up. Okay. When you're writing an essay, this essay and really any essay that requires the inclusion of outside sources, don't start or end paragraphs with quotes. Okay. Always start and end with your own words. Start with the topic sentence and end with your own explanation. Okay. And another feature of this paragraph, if you notice, we have a quote right here. Okay. And Patricia says, Trevor writes, okay. The author notes, okay. This is what's called a signal phrase. And the signal phrase says to your reader, hey, I'm about to quote something. All right. And I just have this part highlighted. Really, all of this is the signal phrase, but really, you more often than not, you'll see signal phrases like this. Patricia says, or the author writes, okay, whatever. And now, one thing about this is our citation, author's last name, page number. And as you can see, there's no comma, there's no PG, like for short for page, there's no page. It's just author's last name, space, and then a page number. Okay. And then our punctuation, the period goes outside of your citation. Okay. And when you're quoting something from the text, quote it exactly how it is. All right, quote it exactly how it is in the text. Okay. And if you notice the quotes in this paragraph, they're very short. Okay. You don't want to let the quotes dominate your paragraphs. Okay. Or your essay itself. You want the majority of your essay to be your own words. Okay, so don't overquote in this thing. You will need to use some quoted material, but don't run the risk of overquoting. Okay. Topic sentence. Flesh it out with an example. Okay. A relevant example. All right. And if you notice as well, there's only one example in this paragraph. Meaning this entire paragraph is about, that opening when Patricia threw Trevor and Andrew, from that car. All right. And it doesn't have like every minute detail of that situation. It just hit the broad strokes. Okay. Riding in that car was dangerous. Of course, throwing them out was dangerous too, but it was less dangerous than remaining in that car. All right. They got away. Okay. So now, again, we just wrapped up with, some of our own thoughts here. Okay, now let's just say this was our next, this is not a fully developed paragraph, but let's just say, right, we finished that first body paragraph. Now we're ready to start our next one. Okay, we're just going to continue with our discussion. Trevor's mother also showed him tough love by letting him face the consequences of his actions when he was wrong. This paragraph would discuss, right, how he was often made, to be accountable, or how Patricia often made him accountable. Again, one example in that paragraph, right? And then, when I wrap up that paragraph, keep going. And this is where, maybe this is where your brainstorm would pay off, because now you're just looking at the ideas, that you came up with, or better yet, you're just looking at the examples that you came up with during your brainstorm, and you're using those ideas to flesh out your paper. Okay. So again, if you go back to square one, right, you have the writing prompt for this essay, you have the directions. And like we started this conversation, think of examples, think of specific examples. And my advice to you all, again, once you have a specific example, if it's not already annotated, put a note next to it, put a sticky note next to it. I don't have any, like, oh, here's a book I use for another class, right, with all these sticky notes in it. And usually, I do this in addition to annotating, because annotation is good, but sticky notes help me, like, go right to a page. All right, so if you want to get some sticky notes, you can. And then, a lot of times I will put like a little note, put a note on the sticky note. All right, but try to get some specific examples, because, right, page numbers there. Okay. Also, let me backtrack a little bit. If I don't want anyone to do I don't want anyone to do any additional research for this essay. Everything we need can come right out of Born a Crime. Okay, you don't have to use any outside material for this essay. And one of the rules about MLA citation, if you're only using one source, which we will be for this essay, the very first citation is the author's last name and page number. Okay, but after that one, you only need the page number. Okay, and that only applies if you're only using one source. If you're using multiple sources, it's author's last name, page number every time. But for us, since we're only using Born a Crime, author's last name and page number the first time, and then every time after that, you can just use the page number. Okay. Yeah. Here's some MLA stuff. Really, for today, and I can come back to this Wednesday, because there's something else, some other material I want to hit on right now. For the most part, our signal phrases are going to be pretty basic. Noah writes. Okay, Noah says. Or, if somebody else is speaking, you can say Abel, Abel screamed, and then go right into your quote. Robert, says, right, Foofy barked. No, Foofy doesn't have any quotes in the book. All right. But practice, practice using signal phrases. And again, here's just an example. Here's another one, right? Trevor notes. There's two in that paragraph. Patricia says, or you can get a little bit more descriptive if you want. As they rode in the back of the car feeling uneasy, Patricia says, right? So as much as you want to dress it up, that's fine. But here's the roots of your signal phrase. Okay. And again, signal phrases help you integrate quotes into your own writing smoothly, so it doesn't disrupt the coherence of your paragraph, or it doesn't disrupt the flow of your paragraph. Now, got your intro there. Okay, got your body there. Time to wrap it up. Don't turn your conclusion into a book review. Meaning, don't say how much you like the book or dislike the book. Don't say how much you learned from the book. Don't say you never knew about apartheid South Africa. You know, if you did or you didn't. You know, that's not relevant right now. Don't do any of that stuff. Okay. To reinforce the idea you've been driving at throughout your paper. Just reiterate your main idea. Don't say it word for word, but when I say reiterate it, you're just kind of like giving a speech. You know, you want to wrap up with kind of wrap up how you started. Okay. So start strong and finish strong. But you know, just like I keep saying, you know, just reinforce your main idea. So your conclusion wraps up the paper without introducing any new material. That's key. Don't put any new ideas in your conclusion. Conclusion, just like your introduction is building up, your conclusion is winding down. And your reader should not be wanting more after they've read your paper. Okay, so it makes a strong final impression, and then, you know, provides closure. Like I said, they don't even want more. Okay, answer all questions in your paper. Okay, or questions, you know, pertaining to your thesis statement. Okay, and here's an example. Through the many struggles he endured, Noah was able to overcome his surroundings and become one of the most successful comedians in the world. He is, man. Okay. I just watched Coming to America 2 over the weekend. He was in that. He was in that. But Trevor Noah, you know, he's everywhere, man. He's everywhere. Okay. His mother was essential to his success. So again, we're bringing it full circle. Mother's love was the theme of our paper. So naturally, it should be the theme of our conclusion. His mother was essential to his success. Trevor and Patricia had a unique relationship that was rooted in love. Although they often clashed, Patricia's love for Trevor never wavered. Okay, yeah, they bumped heads, but at the end of the day, it was like, I got your back, son. All right. Born to Crime opens with Trevor's note to his mother. For my mother, my first fan, thank you for making me a man. It's a touching dedication that captures all that Patricia has been to Trevor. A mother's love can teach, empower, and heal, and Trevor's life is a testament to the sacrifices mothers make to give their children hope for a better life. The end. Okay. Now you're proof. No, now you're revising. Now you're proofreading. You know, now you're trying to make it the best you can make it. But again, for your conclusion, no new material. Just wrap it up. Wrap it up with a nice little bow. Okay, this conclusion, you know, is not more than what, 5 sentences. Okay. It has a quote in there, but you don't have to put a quote. I just put that quote in there because it really like summed up everything, you know, that this hypothetical paper was driving at. Okay. So yeah, just wrap it up. You know, your conclusion. Wrap it up neatly. Okay. Don't say, you know, you enjoyed the book, even if you did. Or, you know, don't say you didn't enjoy the book if you didn't. Okay. Don't say how much the book taught you. You know, if it did teach you stuff, that's great. Okay. Don't say how much you related to the book. You know, if you related to it, that's great. But again, statements like that, nope, don't have a place in this essay. All right. And then finally, before you get busy on this thing, here's some things that you should not include. Announcement, thesis statements. Really announcements anywhere, but definitely in your thesis statement. An announcement thesis statement goes like this. This paper will be about Trevor's mother's love. Or this paper will be about how, you know, Trevor's mother's love kept him out of trouble. Well, he stayed in trouble though. Okay. In this paper, I will discuss how Patricia showed Trevor a better life through her love. After reading this paper, you will see how blank, blankety, blankety, blank, blank. Okay. Don't include a thesis statement like that. Okay. No announcements. Just make a statement. Okay. You have several examples right here. All right. None of these say this paper will discuss. This paper will be about. In this paper, I will discuss. After reading this paper, you will see. None of that is present. okay, in any of these examples. So don't put anything, don't put any phrases like that in your thesis statement. Okay. Second person POV, point of view. Now, Wednesday, I have more material planned for this. But even if you noticed on some of your instructor chosen essay drafts, I started coaching. Like, hey, let's start to practice avoiding, second person point of view. Okay, you. Okay. None of us were in this book. So when we write things like your mother is the most important person in your life. Okay. We can't say that. We can say Trevor's mother, is one of the most important people in his life, but we can't make those assumptions about our readers. So try to avoid you, your, and you are unless it's in a quote. All right. And again, that just comes from practice because I think sometimes like it's just how we speak. Okay. You know what I'm saying? All right. All right. I have to it's certainly when I write stuff, it's certainly something I have to think about. You have to be aware of. Okay. Also avoid, I believe, I think, in my opinion, I feel, I this, I thought, I that. Okay. Realistically, you want to get rid of that altogether for academic writing. Unless you're specifically asked to use one of these phrases, I think, I feel, in my opinion, unless your teacher or the writing prompt specifically asks you that, don't put it in your essay. One, I think, in my opinion, it makes you sound unsure of yourself, as a writer. Okay. Also, we care, about your opinions, teachers, we care, of course. We care about our students' opinions, feelings. But you kind of have to assume that your reader is not going to care how you feel. They're not going to care what you think. They're not going to care what you believe. They do care about what you can support with material, from the text. So, and then, something I say to students all the time, whatever you are going to say after I believe, just start with that. Okay. So if you're in this habit, try to get yourself out of the habit of, I believe, in my opinion, I feel. Okay. And then specifically for this essay, kind of makes you sound like you haven't read the book. Okay. And you don't want to give the reviewers that impression. Okay. Stick to what you can support from the text. Also, something I said at the beginning, don't put your personal experiences in this essay. Okay. And that's also, something I have to just, especially in composition one, just kind of coach students away from relying on personal experiences to support everything. Okay. This is a good practice for that. Just use the book as support. But even if you have a connection to the book, like, I was raised with tough love, definitely, but that's not something I'll put in an essay. Okay. So keep your personal experiences out of this essay. And truth be told, this is more akin to the writing that you'll be using or writing that you'll be doing in composition one. Okay, where it takes the focus off like I in my experiences. Okay. Keep your life out of this essay. Focus on the text. And then stop, don't say things like this semester you read a book called Trevor Noah's Born to Cry, blah, 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 blah. You don't need any of that. Okay. Make sure your essays, your paragraphs stay on task, meaning make sure your paragraphs stick with your main idea. All right, don't waver from your main idea. Again, when you start talking about a new idea, or when you start discussing a new example, start a new paragraph. Okay. Don't turn in a 4-page summary. Like I showed you all before, you will have to do a little bit of summarizing just to give your reader some insight into what's happening. Or you may need to do some summarizing to clarify a point. but do not spend your essay retelling the events of the book. Okay. Meaning, if it's not relevant to your main idea, it shouldn't be in your essay. And that kind of goes into this next do not. Avoid like overly opinionated statements. Oh, it really made me mad when, apartheid is an unfair system. Of course it is. Of course it is. But again, just keep it relevant, to the big idea of the paper. And then, proofread that thing. Proofread that thing as carefully as you can. Okay. Proofread that thing as carefully as you can. All right. And then when we actually have to do one, you don't have to do a works cited page. I'm not even concerned about a works cited for your first draft. And really, MLA citation, I'll be doing like some coaching with that. But for now, just try to signal phrase, quote, citation. Okay. But when it's all said and done, all of our works cited pages will look the same. And here's our entry. And, full disclosure, I cheated for this. Like I use a citation generator, which I will show you all when the time comes. Okay. I'm about to upload this document. I made a few changes, but in fact, let me do it now before I forget. So this document is available, good people. Okay. Week 8. I'm just gonna take this down real quick and then put the new one in there. Okay, and we know obliterate it from the face of the earth. Right? Okay, now the new one's up here with just the changes, some of the corrections. Okay, now, good people of English 1060. Any questions about this essay? About what we're being asked to do? Okay, again, just discussing how Trevor's mother showed him love. Okay. And you don't have to use, the examples I'm using. You don't have to talk about tough love, if that's not what you saw in the book. All right. But whatever you do, just start out with brainstorming and then get your thesis statement together. Like if you go to the very beginning of the class where we talked about writing process, that's the process. Brainstorming, get your thesis statement together, drafting, revising, editing. Okay. And we're going to take 3 drafts to go through that process. Okay. Week 8 module, folks. I'm gonna get this class uploaded sometime today. All right. And that's that, my good people. Still alive out there?
I'm here. I'm alive.
I'm breathing.
Okay, very good.
I'm breathing.
Very good. Good, very good. Okay. So yeah, folks, get busy. Let's do it again on Wednesday. All right. I'll talk in more detail about the PI method and we'll go over some MLA stuff. And then I will by Wednesday, if you have a thesis statement and you want me to take a look at it, I'm more than happy to do that. Okay.
All right.
Maybe we can get
I
like
have
a
a question.
collective brainstorm going. Yes,
It's not about this class. Are you teaching this summer?
I am, but I'm doing 2 more sections of this class. And if you see me again in the summer, that means something didn't go right. So I don't want to see any of you over the summer. But if you're gonna wait to take English 1510 in the fall, I always have a couple sections of that. So if you want to do it over the summer, do that. But if you want to hang out with me for another semester, I'll be doing it again in the fall. Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
And thanks for coming Thursday, Isaiah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, man. It's all good. Okay. Well, have a great day, folks.
You too.
Okay.
Thanks.
Day.
Thank you.